Okay, so lesson 5.5 is on rational equations, where we're trying to figure out what number or numbers can I plug in the spot of the letter to make the equation true. So what I'm going to do is number 20 for you, okay? And so what that looks like is it looks like I have a 5 and then a minus 1 over 6v plus 6 equal to 5 over 6v plus 6. The first thing that I want you to recognize is that the 6v plus 6, you cannot cancel or separate them because they're being added. They are stuck together. But what I can do is I could factor out a 6 and say it's 6 times v plus 1. That will come handy later, okay? So when I have these fractions here, notice that the 5 is over a 1. We need a common denominator. So we need to figure out what the LCD is, okay, the least common denominator. So I already know that these two guys have the exact same denominator, okay, I can see that in either this form here or in its factored form. They both have a 6, they both have a v plus 1, whether it's separated or put together. This guy over here, he only has a 1, so he's going to need everything. So I have two options. I can look at it as 6 times v plus 1, or I can say that they need a 6v plus 6, okay? Either way, they need to have those pieces in order to match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say this 5 right here, he needs in total, and I'm going to give him this guy, the form that's been multiplied out, because I think that might be easier to multiply everything out top and bottom. Okay, so when I multiply him out, it looks like I get 30v plus 30 all over the denominator that I need him to have, okay, minus, and this guy, the next fraction, he doesn't need anything, so it just stays 1 over the 6v plus 6, equal to, and the last guy also doesn't need anything, so 6v plus 6, okay? Now what I do is I notice they all have the same denominator, so I'm going to just forget the denominators and work with the top, 30v plus 30, okay, no sign changes. And then I need to subtract everything that comes after it until I hit another plus sign, minus sign, or equal sign. So it looks like it's just a minus 1 this time. Okay, just be really careful with your subtraction. And it's going to equal 5. Okay, so I get 30v plus 29 equals 5. So I end up with 30v equals, and when I subtract 29 from both sides, I end up with negative 24. Let me check that real quick. Okay, yep. And when I divide both sides by 30, I get negative 24 divided by 30, and I'm going to math frac that so that it can be reduced. Negative 4 over 5. Okay? Now that is the answer that I hope will work and that I'm allowed to have. But I need to check for my extraneous solutions first to make sure that I can actually have that answer. So let me slide back up here to the least common denominator for a second, and let's focus on that. I have two different options. I can work with the factored form, or I can try to work with the multiplied out distributed form. Normally it's easier to do this form, but I want to show you both ways so that you can see what I do. When I do the factored form, I set 6 equal to 0 and v plus 1 equal to 0. The 6 equals 0 we ignore because he doesn't have a letter. It doesn't matter. It's not true. But this v plus 1, I need to get the v alone and move the 1 to the other side. So it looks like v cannot be 1. If v is equal, or negative 1, sorry. When v is equal to negative 1, the denominators will be 0. The problem doesn't work. Okay? Watch what happens though if I set the 6v plus 6. I should get the exact same answer. Set him equal to 0. Move the 6 over. 6v equals negative 6. Divide both sides by 6. V equals negative 1. So my extraneous solution, no matter which way I do it, I say that v cannot be negative 1. It'll make the denominator 0, which is good because that's not the answer that I found. So my answer of negative 4/5, it will work if you check it, okay? And my extraneous solution of negative 1 is the answer that I show that I hope I didn't get, which I didn't. So in total, the two things you need to have on your paper are the answer here, v equals -4/5, and then your extraneous solution that says, I checked it, and this is the number that I cannot be. -1, because it'll let the denominator be 0.